My name is Pauline and I've created this podcast, Speak Up, to help remove the stigma of mental health and to get young people speaking about mental health.
Please be advised, this podcast contains potentially upsetting discussions about mental health and suicide. If you're a young person seeking mental health support, please see our end of episode guidance, contact your GP for support, or call the Papyrus helpline for immediate help on 0800 068 4141. Thanks.
The reason I want to do this podcast is because I want to investigate mental health and young people and why no one is doing anything about it, why our services cut short, and what are ways that young people can cope today. I will start this podcast, first of all, investigating my own personal life and how mental health has affected not only myself, but the people around me, most notably my friends. And this has been one of the reasons why I started this podcast, is because two of my friends, when I was 15, committed suicide. And this was a massive shock, not just to me, but to all the people around me, my school friends, my family, their family, everyone. So this first episode will be trying to go back and investigating who the people were at that time and how they're coping now, and why suicide is so common.
Suicide is the leading cause of death among young people aged 5 to 24 in the UK. The rate of youth suicide has risen by 67% in England and Wales since 2010, and the rate amongst 10 to 19-year-olds has doubled in London over the past few years.
Suicide and the Starting Point is episode number 1, and today I will be interviewing one of my longest friends, a friend of 10 years, Eve, who was also very close to me at the time of the suicide and close to the girls, and had also her own personal experience of how she dealt with the grief. I wanted to see how she's doing now and how she's looked back on it and how she's coping with it.
Hi, my name's Eve. I am from North London. I'm currently at Edinburgh University, and I've known Pauline for 10 years now.
Yeah, something like that.
So we've been on a journey together.
Yes. So we all went through it together as like a friendship group and experienced, like you said, experienced mental health at an age which was like imposed on us almost, where we had to deal with it, and it happened twice. And so we had to quickly learn and grow up the seriousness of a lot of things like eating disorders, depression, self-harm, in a way that before I think we didn't understand it, or we understood it through images, through like Tumblr and things like that. And then we quickly had to grow up and learn. How do you think you personally managed to do that? Because it was just before GCSE, so how did you think you managed to grow as a person from that?
Well, I felt an extreme amount of guilt.
Mm-hmm.
So much guilt. I was just like, why didn't I text her? Why didn't I go to her house and knock on the door and tell her, you know, we all love you. We don't hate you. You just come back. You know what I mean? Like, I wish I think that guilt, it just was so powerful that I just grew up. I was just like, oh God, well, I'm never going to do this again. I'm always going to be a good friend. I'm never going to be so selfish again. I think everyone knows someone or knows someone through someone else who's committed suicide nowadays. Unfortunately, most people have been to a school where a few years above them, a few years below them, a friend of a friend, you know, a friend's sister, a friend's brother has you know, taken their own life. And it's so sad. Like, it's so sad. But, you know, it was a smack in the face. It was like this is life, this is real, this is what happens, this is the nitty gritty. You're going to deal with this throughout your entire life. You are never going to be able to let this go, ever.
So, hi, my name is Sarah Harrell, and I've known Pauline since I was like 7 years old.
Yeah, I mean, we've known each other for so long. And we've been through so much. And I immediately thought of you to interview for the podcast. Because I feel like you've had quite a unique experience. And also you were part of the group when we had, the suicides.
Yeah.
So I guess, in a way, what was your grieving process with the suicides? When we were 15, what did you do? How did you cope with it?
I feel like the grieving process for me was quite destructive. I blamed myself quite a lot about just having someone who was so close to you and going through something like that. And I don't know. I think I spent a lot of time just kind of trying to understand her experience and what it was for her that made her I don't know, that it sort of resulted in that. So I know, I don't know. You would talk to her and think of her and try to sort of relive some of her experiences. Yeah. I don't know. I guess in a way to feel. I don't know if it was to feel close to her or more to just punish myself. I don't know.
Yeah. And what was your first instinct to do? Did you go and seek help, or did you did you go to therapy, or
what, after it happened, or
yeah?
No, I didn't. I don't know. I kind of just was maybe in denial, just thinking that everything was going through, everything was fine. And then it wasn't. It was only because I was supposed to go on this school expedition quite far, in Africa, and I got quite sick to the point where I couldn't go away, and so I remember having to talk to one of our head of year, and then just having to explain everything that was going on, and it was and then the school found out, so that's when they sort of sent me to go and get help.
And what did you go through? How were you ill?
So I was anorexia nervosa, which was so it's so weird talking about it now, because I don't know. So that's basically what happened. And then I feel once I started getting help and once I was diagnosed, it kind of went the opposite way for me. It kind of got worse. It was almost as if I was doing it right. I felt as though I needed to be ill because I wanted to punish myself, and I wanted to kind of experience the experiences that our friend who passed away, she had been anorexic, and so I felt I was doing something right.
Yeah.
And I just went head into it after that, and got a little bit more obsessed. Whereas before, I think I was kind of blindly in it. And then after that, it was okay, this is what I am. This is how I need to be now, because this is what's expected if you are anorexic.
After speaking to Eve, I thought it would be a good idea to go and speak to some leading people in the field of psychoanalysis and psychotherapy. So I've decided to try and get a better idea of what really is going on with suicide and who the figures are behind working with young people and adolescents and children. So I decided to go speak to Peter Wilson and Robin Anderson and tell them my personal story and see what they think about it.
Well, my name is Robin Anderson. I'm a child and adolescent psychiatrist, although I have to say retired. And I'm also a psychoanalyst of adolescents and children as well as adults. But I suppose my main background has been working in the adolescent department at the Tavistock Clinic.
Suicide affects your school life so much after it happens, and it almost then becomes a very sad place.
Yes, of course.
And it actually happened, so I moved school after it happened, and I went to another school, and so it's just completely devastating, but it does ruin, it just makes the environment that was meant to be safe.
The people around you are so... around the person who who kills themselves are so damaged by it, so scarred. I mean, I'm not saying it's irreparable damage, but it's the sort of thing you'll never forget, isn't it? Never forget that.
I mean, it can go one of two ways. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you can say,
It didn't go that way for
this
everybody
is
else.
life-changing.
Yeah.
I need to do better.
Yeah.
Or you can say, or you can just be so sad.
I don't know how to handle it.
And just take it with you. I could have taken that guilt, and if I let myself think about it too much, I will feel guilty.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I'm ever not going to feel guilty about it.
But what's your opinion on loss and bereavement, and how does someone who is at the age of 15 deal with something?
Yes, gosh. Yeah, well, we're all, the point you made, everybody deals with it differently, right? There's no prescribed way in which you should do it.
Yeah.
We all do it differently.
Mm-hmm.
Because death means different things to us all. Some of us are close to it and some of us can't bear to even countenance it. So some of us just want to blot it out and pretend it doesn't exist. And others see what's gone on and can resonate with something in themselves. I mean, suicide is a monstrous act, really. It's absolute. I mean, there's no ifs and buts, there's no A&E can come at the last minute. It is final. I'm telling you this, but it's absolute. And I think it leaves us all completely dumbfounded. We cannot understand it, really. Not the people who actually do it. There are a lot of the suicidal thoughts, I think, are pretty common, really. Much more common than, in the literature, suicidal ideation, they call it. Therefore we've got to be concerned. I think, my view is most people think about suicide. The philosopher Nietzsche said few of us can get through a bad night without the thought of suicide. So I think it's around. Life is very hard, it's very difficult, and it's challenging. And I think for some it just is overwhelming. You are left feeling, oh my God, what was it me? Did I say the wrong thing? Was it wrong?
Yeah.
Why is she carrying on living and not me? The people around, the people who are closest, feel the anger, the impact, and you're left bemused and befuddled and guilty. And what the hell is it all about? And should I do it? If two of my friends have done it, perhaps I should join them, be part of the thing, because there is such a thing as an epidemic of suicides. So I think it's a powerful thing. And so how do you deal with it? What I'm saying is, it's almost like a punch on the nose.
Yeah.
How do I deal with it?
Having somebody near you who committed suicide is devastating. It's a devastating thing to happen. It's terrible for the parents, but it's terrible for the friends. And one of the things that, is quite worrying as a statistic, and you may know this, that actually, if you are around somebody or close to somebody who's killed themselves, you are at risk. You become a person who might well become suicidal yourself.
There are so many people who have really, really serious eating disorders but look like really healthy.
Yeah.
And I was always scared that I'd be one of those people. I didn't want to have all this stuff going on inside and no one see it. It's you don't want to say anything, but you want your kind of your body to do the screaming for you. So.
And how long did it last for? Or do you still think it's now, you think?
It's bloody long time. It not I don't know, it went into anorexia to bulimia, and then the bulimia was horrible, worst experience of my life. It basically lasted, I would say, maybe 3 years, and even now, I'll have relapses, and I'm mostly fine, but I don't know, it's difficult. You'll have weeks where your mind is everything's fine, then all of a sudden, like, you have this little voice in your head which is like telling you something completely different, and you're just like, oh, where did this come from?
Yeah. And what do you think was the trigger? Do you think the suicides were the trigger for your anorexia?
I don't know. Like, I've had quite a lot of stuff happen, like, in my life, like probably in my childhood, which, like, at that age, you're sort of like, you're getting older and you're coming into your own, and I think I was sort of realising the differences between me and my friends, and then I think after the suicide, it was like that was like the thing that tipped me over the edge, and it was just like all these things that I had, like, these emotions I'd been struggling with, this was just like too much, and it felt like, okay, this is the way. And I think also, like, it's like slow, I feel like self-harm is slow suicide, essentially. Mm-hmm. It's like, so you're killing yourself, but slowly, because I'd never thought about suicide, but I'm too scared, and like, I do actually love life, and I think that doing it that way, it's like, I'm kind of in control of, I know that I'm going to go, but I can't help it, like, my body will shut down, and that would be it, as opposed to me actually, like, taking my own life. You feel like, I guess, a little bit less guilty as well.
Yeah. So you saw it as like a coping mechanism to, like...
Massively. Like, it got to a point, especially, like, with bulimia, where it was like, after I felt any emotion, like, I had to be numb the entire time. If I was too happy, I'd have to, like, binge and purge. If I was too sad, I had to binge and purge. It was like, I couldn't deal with feeling. And, like, so that's something which I think I still kind of struggle with now. Like, if I feel too much of an emotion, like, maybe I'll go out too much, or, like... Yeah. It's just struggling to feel things, I think, sometimes.
Loss is part of the human condition again, you know. But I think for some people it really matters to be able to share all of these feelings, to just share them with someone who's not going to say, but you shouldn't do this, or you ought to do this, or stand on your head, or swing on the chandeliers in order to cheer yourself up. None of that. Yeah. You just let yourself be given the space to share your feelings. So I think it's an extraordinarily profound thing to do.
And where are you now, and how do you think where you are now is different to where you were before? Like, what advice would you give your, like, other 15-year-old girls who are going through mental health difficulties?
I would say, like, definitely get help, and once you do, like, actually cooperate, and, like, actually, I feel like sometimes, especially when you're 15 or 16, you're like at this amazing age where you're young, but you're, like, old young. So, like, you can do all these exciting new things, and I think you feel it's going to last forever, and I really did. So, like, having something which is just essentially, like, killing you and ruining your life might not seem like such a big deal because you're young, but, like, it actually just takes years away from your life, and you'll regret it so much if you don't just, like, get better as soon as possible, because the quicker that you do, the easier it is, the less likely it's going to be, like, ingrained in, like, your mentality and, like, the way that you see things and see food and relationships. The longer you have it, the, like, you know, it's just like habit, and it's a lot harder to kind of shake it.
I was going a bit, you know what I was like, I was a troublesome teen.
Yes, you were. You were funny.
And I just got my act together after it.
You changed completely.
My GCSEs. I started thinking about how I treated my friends. Mm-hmm. I need to ask them more, are you okay? Like, I need to pick up the phone. You know, I used to hate texting people and calling people, and I was like, you need to pick up the phone when someone rings you. Just, you know, don't take my own mental health for granted. If you're having a problem, talk to someone about it.
Yeah. I've
been very lucky because I live in an area with a great GP who have always been there to help me out. You know, immediately after our friend passed, I started to get really bad headaches. And, you know, I was straight into Great Ormond Street for a CBT to help me try and get rid of these, like, sort of stress-induced headaches.
Right.
And then I was able to go to therapy, private therapy, because my parents could afford it. And, yeah, I think just taught me, like, ask for help.
Yeah.
So if the places these are happening in are schools or churches or other places where youth clubs and so on, where people can convene, but so often, of course, these clubs, if you like, are now what's the word? They're now social media sites where people sort of choose. They don't, but they're friends. You know, you'd be a good example of that. You know, of a responsible person who's faced with a situation like that, and would very readily go and be able to know where to get support. And I think that message needs to be in schools and needs to be right up at the top, so that it will be recognised that, you know, schools are places which ought to be promoting mental health, and one of the ways to promote mental health is to help people to know where to go when they're worried about friends or worried about themselves.
After speaking to Peter Wilson and Robin Anderson, I realised there are lots of young people who are asking for help in different ways. If there's one thing I learnt, is that asking for help can save lives. If you are feeling so down that you can't see a way out, know that others have felt this way and survived. You are not alone, and however bad you feel, you can be helped.
Please be advised, this podcast contains potentially upsetting discussions about mental health and suicide. If you're a young person seeking mental health support, please see our end of episode guidance, contact your GP for support, or call the Papyrus helpline for immediate help on 0800 068 4141. Thanks.
Next time on Speak Up, I'll be investigating the dark world of Tumblr and how eating disorders have been completely romanticised, how there's been masses of pro-anorexia groups on Tumblr, as well as self-harm and suicide. So I'll be talking to Mim Fothergill, who has experienced this herself. So obviously it's had a big effect on your life, but like where are you now? Like, what are your aspirations, and you know, what do you want to do, and what are you doing?
So I'm at university now, and like it took me a little time to get here, but I'm really glad that I'm finally there. I've always wanted to be an actress. I used to dance so much as well, and like the eating disorder definitely got in the way of that. But I feel like I'm finally coming back into my own, like this summer especially. I feel like I'm writing again and doing all these things that I love, and like it feels so good to like actually just feel like Saya and like not like, you know, Saya with an asterisk and like, you know, there's this going on. It's just me. So yeah, like you honestly like you can get better. I mean, it's like everyone says that, and you probably don't want to, because it's, you know, it's your coping mechanism. But like once you get past it, it's like the best thing ever, because you just feel like you're reborn. Like it's so nice. So yeah, seriously get help and just stick to it.